What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? Shout out to everybody who's coming into the room. I just wanted to hop in, show y'all some Black American History Month love. And also just to tell you about some experiences I had over the past week. Some really dope and interesting things happened. The other day, I reached out to my uncle and some of my other family members. I was just thinking about my family and like our heritage and just like the folks who've come, before us and everything like that. And in my family, on certain ends of my family, my family on certain sides of my family, I should say. Some know more than others in regards to, just our family, our grandparents, it varies depending on what side we're talking about. But on my mom's side, I didn't grow up with a whole lot of information outside of just like our immediate family, my great uncles and my cousins and just our immediate family who we would do holidays with and all of that sort of stuff. And so I just was thinking about it one day, and my uncle, he kind of was just growing up was always kind of like the gatekeeper of that sort of thing, just our family history and that whole sort of thing. He's super instrumental in just being the glue in between, our immediate family and our extended family. And, on that side of my family, it's funny that we didn't know as much. Or I guess my generation didn't know as much. And I could definitely say, my mom and her twin sister and, their cousins or whatever, their generation definitely knew things. They probably knew just a little more than we did. But it's funny, it's ironic, because like my family, we are huge about doing family reunions, and we meet up every year. We do a family reunion every year in Ansonville, North Carolina, which is actually where they shot the film The Color Purple. Shout out to Fantasia. She's going to be doing the new musical. Ironically, she's also from North Carolina. Irrelevant. But we did family reunions every year. So the fact that we didn't have that information just blew my mind. But my uncle, he reached back out, because I reached out to him, like I said before. I reached out to him just asking him for any information, any pictures, anything about, his mom, his great-grandparents, his grandparents. Like whatever he could give me, I was open to it. And it took him like a day, but like he gathered information and like just flooded me with like pictures and like photos and information about my 3 times great grandparents and like my great grandma, my grandma's grandma, and like more information about my great grandma Snook, and just I ended up finding out that like we had like land and like houses, and like that side of my family actually, ironically, could trace our entire family back to the 1800s, and like there was a family book, and like there's all of this stuff, and it's like, obviously I shared that information with like my cousins and my aunt, and like we all kind of just started like throwing information that we knew that we gathered over the years at each other, and it just was, it was just going all over the place, spreading like fire, and like it did something for us, and it was super special. And it, I'm really big about family, and I'm really big about us just coming together and putting aside differences, and making time for each other, and like all of that sort of stuff, and getting that information and learning these things, and learning that this land even was still in our possession, in this house, and our generation growing up, like I said, we always had family reunions. So like every year, we would do 2. We would do one at like a church, and then we would do one at a park. And, of course, us being kids, we were off playing and stuff like that. But when we would come around the adults, like, especially the ones who were in charge of those events, like, they would tell us, you know, this is gonna be your responsibility one day. Like, definitely, you know, pay attention. Like, this is gonna be on you. And you know, us as kids, we just kind of blew it off, and it was just one of those things that we blew off. And me and my cousin, who, you know, we speak about this regularly, and you know, she's just as passionate about us, you know, bringing our family together and that whole sort of thing. We all remember it, but we were kind of laughing about it because it came fast. But we're more than willing to take on the responsibility, and I think getting that information about our family and just like being able to put faces to stories that we might have heard growing up, and just discovering all these sorts of things that weren't even in our sort of realm of possibilities for our family, and just having it all crack open. And it was nice. And I guess my whole point in even mentioning it to you guys is just the importance of family, and just the importance, specifically Black American Black families, like that history, keeping it alive, and like sharing it with your kids, and like, you know, honoring your ancestors, and really creating a space for them in your life, regardless of not if they've passed on or not. Like, it's important for us to stay together, especially in these times. It's super important for us to stay together, stay on the same page, love up on each other, because people are dying left and right, given everything that's happening in the world. And like, it's just super important. And I mean, it might be cliche to say, it might be what you already know, but at the same time, I think really drilling that in, especially into the kids, because like, you know, I'll be transparent, you know, I'm super private on this thing. I do not share all my business, but I think like a lot of families, you know, and I hope my family doesn't care, I'm not giving details, but you know, my mom's side of the family, we kind of have had, you know, some issues here and there, nothing that we haven't gotten over. And you know, we're all on the same page. We're definitely going to start up our own, you know, immediate familial reunions and things like that. And you know, we definitely show up for each other. It's nothing that drastic, but we could have done better in recent years. And I think this sort of information coming up has definitely sparked inspiration and understanding, especially given the last couple of years of, you know, the necessity for us to show up for each other and really like make this thing work, specifically for the next generation. Because you know, it's one of those things with us now, my generation, you know, we're all having kids. Well, I ain't got no kids, but you know, our family's growing, you know, and the kids need to know each other. The kids, you know, what's special, me and my cousin was talking about it, when we grew up, there was like seven of us plus, and we grew up like siblings. We were a part of each other's lives, and you know, even till this day, like, that relationship is there. Like, when I speak to them, I feel like I'm speaking to siblings. Granted, you know, I have siblings. They're my dad's kids. My mom, I was an only child. So, you know, with them, they were like my siblings. And those bonds are still connected, are still alive. And it's a beautiful thing, because a lot of people don't have that. But I think, even in us talking about it yesterday, that was something that, you know, was special. I think a lot of the times, you know, as families, we can kind of focus in on all the negativity and stuff like that, and not really be grateful for the things that we do have. But my family's definitely realized, even more so now than ever, how important that is. And you know, we're definitely doing our part in terms of just bringing the kids together and just coming back together and showing up for each other as adults. And you know, that generational shift of responsibility is happening right now with my generation. And you know, I think at one point it was intimidating, but I think now, especially considering so many of us have families of our own, and you know, things are changing. I think it's welcome more than anything. But I think, you know, to you guys, I share it because I know I'm not you know, we definitely aren't unique in that sense that so many other things get in the way, and we get clouded whenever it comes to family and what's important. And I think, you know, in terms of just Black liberation, just in general, that it is important for us to maintain those familial relationships as well as the relationships amongst each other. I think the second thing that I wanted to talk about was during this whole thing of my family having this new discovery of our ancestors, and, you know, showing them homage, and you know, sending pictures back and forth, and really, you know, the family resemblance is insane. Like, you know, in some of my grandmothers and some of my grandfathers, like, you can see the family resemblance, and, you know, being able to look at each other and see who's who, and who looks like who, and etc. Like, it was a really beautiful thing. But in that time, I actually texted one of my cousins who changed their number. I found out. I text her a bunch of pictures and a bunch of information, and I get a call, and this lady, never met this lady a day in my life, Miss Belinda, shout out to Miss Belinda, she calls me, and I'm like, hello? I'm like, hey, cuz, what's going on? And she's voice on the other end of the phone I never heard in my life. She starts talking, and I'm like, who in the hell is this? Who is this? And I'm like, hey, who was this? And she's like, that's Melinda. And she started talking or whatever, and then we start actually getting into a conversation and laughing about the fact that because she done went to her whole family history and her whole, like, her family, they kept that information as well, and she went back to her family tree, and she was like, I done went back to my family tree trying to figure out who all these people is. And we literally talked for half an hour just about everything from family to, you know, Blackness and Black history, and just a myriad of things. We talked for half an hour, and it took me back to North Carolina, because back in North Carolina, which is where she's from and where I'm from, I hadn't had one of those conversations since I was back there, but that's just how it is. Like, a random call from somebody that you don't know, wrong number, can turn into a half-hour conversation, and it's just normal. And it made me homesick a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but it was special because even still, we spoke the same language, you know. We spoke the same language, and turns out she knew some. She wasn't from my family's town, but she knew my grandma on my dad's side. So, and she knew one of my cousins. Of course, she asked my family name, and, you know, I asked hers, and she knew some of my people. And it's just a super small world. But the fact that we could have that interaction and it felt familial, even though we weren't family, was super special. So, I think, with that being said, I think that should be normal for us just in general. I think as Black folks, as Black Americans, and I guess in general, that is necessary. I think everything that I'm thinking about and everything that I want for, I guess, anytime that I tap in with Black history stuff, I know I'm doing a 28 Days of Black American History Month shorts this year. But I hope with these videos, and I just hope in general, that anytime that I speak, that, you know, I'm speaking to Black liberation. I'm speaking to, you know, Black future. I mean, I know they call it Black Future Month as well. Just speaking to our futures and speaking to our liberation and speaking to, you know, hopefully something that we can kind of chew on and manifest for ourselves in a way that just brings us to a much more peaceful place, a more communal space, somewhere where we can really truly build and really be on the same page. You know, the conversation me and Miss Belinda had felt super special, and, you know, I just hope that we can have more of that. And I think that, you know, it should be normal for us to have that. And I know at one point, at least, it was. I don't know what happened, but, you know, I think that togetherness is important. I think that love, that genuine care, and appreciation is important. And, you know, it shouldn't be so. And I think, you know, for me, it definitely was culture shock, because, like I said, coming to a place like LA, you know, I live in LA, I have for the past 10 years, that's not as common. I've maybe had something similar to that here and there, but because ultimately, like, black folks, at least black Americans in LA, come from the South, so there is that Southern kind of hospitality type vibe here in small sense, but it exists because it's cultural. But at the same time, back home, that would happen all the time. You be in a store, run into somebody, and I mean anybody, truly, like, even non-black folks. You meet somebody, you'll have a whole hour conversation with them in the store. Never seen this person in your life, probably never see them ever again. I'll probably never talk to Miss Belinda ever again, but the fact that we shared time and space with each other in that way was super special. So, with that being said, because y'all know I get long-winded, I just want more of that, because it felt really good and it felt super special, and you know, I just want that for our community, and I hope that we can speak that into our black future and celebrate that part of our culture that is a part of our culture. You know, community is a part of our culture. You know, I was talking to a friend talking about back in the 90s, and you know, I know it existed prior to then, even just black communities truly being community. And like, you know, I grew up in the streetlight generation. Streetlights, come on, take your ass home. Take your ass home. But I just remember being in community, and I knew, you know, if I was at my aunt's house, which wasn't really my aunt, was my mom's friend or someone she knew, you know what I mean, or somebody that knew my family, like I knew I could get a meal, or they, you know, my mom and them were always, you know, feeding folks, and you know, I knew, you know, I couldn't do certain things around so-and-so because they was gonna tell my mama, and if they saw me out and about acting a fool, they were gonna call me out, and they were probably even gonna take me back to my house and tell my mama what happened. You know what I mean? And just looking out for each other, you know, looking after each other's houses, and just being community, man. Just being community and being amongst each other. It was a super special time, and we just take all of that stuff for granted, man, but it's important for us to have, you know, I'm a huge believer in us having, you know, community events and things like that. We definitely do those sorts of things, but like, even taking it a step further, you know what I mean, and really making it personal. So I hope for more of that, and I hope that you guys truly just dig into your family's history and ask questions. Ask your elders what is up. Ask your elders everything that you can about your family, about anything, you know, and any and everything, because you never know what might come up. I had no idea my family had land in where they're from, I'll say, because I don't want y'all in my business. But, you know, never knew all of that. Never knew, you know, some of these stories that it came about, and some information, good and bad, that came up, but all of it a part of our family, all of it a part of me, because we are parts of them, and with a continuation of them, with a new model. So I think it's important that all of us have that, and continue to pass that on, and pass that on to our kids, and really help them understand the importance of family and of their ancestors, and you know, why it's important for them, and how it is a part of them, and all the ways that it's a part of them. So with that said, I'm gonna get out of here. I just wanted to jump in and give y'all that. I'm super excited about everything that's happening with my family, and yeah, just community in general. I want so much more for us, but I'm so happy that we're able to share this space, and I've seen so many other spaces and people just really showing love to each other, and I just want more of that. I just want more of that. So with that being said, y'all have a great day. Have an amazing Black American History Month, and I'll be checking back in soon. I'll talk to y'all soon. Hey, everybody in the room. EJ, I see you. What's up? What's up? JB, what's going on, JB? I appreciate you, brother, for stopping through. Let's see. Everybody, Xander, everybody that's stepping in, I appreciate you. Thank you for showing up, showing love. And yeah, I'll be talking to y'all soon. Peace.